Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of the podcast Mind Planning Matters. Again, this is part of the series all around stochastic scheduling, and in particular, why the industry should be interested in stochastic scheduling. So this is part 3 of 4 that are excerpts from my keynote presentation at the Deswick Users Conference in 2022. So this is the third part of that presentation. I'd recommend that you go back and start at podcast 3.
And so we introduce all that risk, right? And what do? We basically bury our heads in the sand and we sort of ignore it. And what we do is we produce schedules like this. And we actually sort of expect people to be able to follow that and go and implement it. And you get those motivational speakers who run up on stage, particularly sort of Americans, and they have this sort of this music that they run on stage to and everything. I'm a bit of a Genesis fan, and they've got a song called Land of Confusion, and so I could actually see myself running up on stage to a song called Land of Confusion, because to me, that's what that is, right? That's just horrible. And so I think that we are deluding ourselves in terms of our mind planning processes and the level of work that we can put into it, the software that we have at our fingertips these days, and we can sort of churn schedules out fairly quickly and so on. And so we roll them out on a regular basis, and we have this unwavering faith in them, and we talk about that this is going to happen on this day, sort of, and so on, which I do think is delusion. But as a mind planner, we sort of know that it doesn't work. We know that it's not going to run exactly like that. And so what do? We build in lots of inventory, because that's our buffer, sort of. That's our factor of safety, is we build in lots of inventory, and we build it in everywhere, in front of every step in the process. If there's 7 steps in the process or 10 steps in the process, we put inventory in front of every one of them. And we put inventory in front of every one of them on the hope that might sort of absorb and soak up the variability, and that the plan might work, and we sort of get through the other end okay, sort of unharmed to some extent. But mind planners, we know variability exists. We might be doing a deterministic schedule, but we know variability is real and it's going to happen. And so the other thing that we try and build into our plans for when our inventory is not large enough to cater for the variability is we build flexibility into our plans. And it was interesting, about a year or so back, I did a poll on LinkedIn, and I asked sort of people, what makes a good plan? What goes into a good plan? And one of the answers that I got from a few people was a good plan has got flexibility built into it. All right, it caters for scenarios. Now, the interesting thing about flexibility is that flexibility comes, certainly in the open pit space, flexibility comes from having spare faces. And so spare faces mean that we're digging dirt earlier than we needed to create a spare face. It means that we have got a bigger void, we've got larger haul distances, and all those sorts of things. And so there's actually an argument that if we got our mind planning right in the first place, maybe we would get away with less flexibility. And so maybe a good plan doesn't have lots of flexibility in it, but a good plan has the processes right beforehand so we can get by with less flexibility. Now, the other thing is that, when you look at that, you go, where's the risk built in that? Holy hell, where is it? Who knows, right? Now, the planner who has been doing the plan, they've got a fairly good idea of where the sort of the tight spots are and where the potential risk is and so on. So there's a good chance that they've built some risk into that mind plan. But if I'm the production manager or if I'm the GM, I look at that and I look at tables of outputs of reports or whatever it is that I get. And I have no idea whether how much factor of safety there is effectively built into this schedule. You can't look at a Gantt chart like that and work it out. And so a mind planner might have built some stuff in, but no one else really knows and understands. And I do think that from a mining industry perspective, This is one of the areas that we've lost something over the 30 years that I've been in the industry. When I first started, I regularly sort of came across mine planners who had been in the same job for 5 to 10 years or whatever, and who knew the mine backwards. And because they'd been there so long and doing the same job for so long and knew the mine so well, they knew what to put in their deterministic schedule to sort of get through the tight spots and make the plan work and so on. The industry's changed, and we have a rapid turnover of employees these days. And so we don't have the same levels of experience typically in our mine planning as we used to have. We now have scheduling tools that we can run quicker, and so we can send out a plan quicker. But that doesn't necessarily cater for the lack of experience, the loss of experience that we have in the industry.
Thanks for listening to Mine Planning Matters and my thoughts on mine planning. This podcast is for the benefit of the mining industry, and that's you. So I'd love to hear from you through the comments section, and please feel free to let me know any topics you'd like discussed in future episodes. You'll find much more content at our Insignia Mining website, and if you find any of our content valuable, please let your mining colleagues know so they can benefit as well.